Welcome to Relish Lifestyle. It's just gone 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, and we have decided to get together and do a podcast where we're sort of slightly on the hoof a bit more today.
We are actually. So this is a new one for us. So we're going to be doing this podcast while we're actually cooking. So as Charlie said, it's Sunday afternoon, and we've decided that we're going to. We do like. I think we talked about it last time, but we do like our Sunday. We call them roasts, but it's a bit like Christmas Day every Sunday here. You know, we probably eat about sort of 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And especially in the winter, not so much in the summer. But anyway, we're doing it here. So
I'm just putting my apron on.
Yes, aprons are going on. I've got the peeler out, of course, to peel the vegetables.
Peeler.
So you will hear various classics.
So we are in the kitchen. We're moving around. Dynamic duo that we are. So basically, what we're doing is we've got good old big Le Creuset here. We're very fortunate to have it. They are, expensive, but they're definitely worth the investment if you can. And a lot of places now, like we've seen them in Habitat, haven't we, and Sainsbury's and places like that, doing the sort of cast iron dishes.
Yeah, they're doing their own versions.
So basically, you're going to hear a couple of beeps now because I'm just putting the oven on. Not the oven.
But should we go back a bit, Charlie, and just explain? So we were out walking. And we were like, oh, well, should we eat together? We weren't, we hadn't actually organised a huge amount. And then we just decided, which we quite often do, well, what have we got in the fridge? Charlie has some chicken legs and I had some bacon lardons. And between us, we've got vegetables. So I think the only thing we had to buy was some onions. So I'll let Charlie tell you now what we decided to do with those for our Sunday.
So as we were strolling round the beautiful town of Arundel, we decided that we were going to do Cocoa Riesling, or at least a riff on Cocoa Riesling. So the great thing about this recipe, actually, obviously, if you're a purist and you've been there to the sort of Alsace region, it is obviously Riesling wine, a jointed chicken, a whole chicken that you then joint into sort of 6 to 8 pieces. Now this is our riff. So basically I've done this before in various parts of the world actually, but I'm using chicken legs. Now 2 reasons for that. I think it's a bit of a forgotten joint of chicken. We either go for a breast or the whole chicken, whereas sort of your thighs and your legs give you great flavour because they've still got the bone in and the skin and all that kind of stuff, but they're also incredibly good value. All over the place, whether you go to your butcher's or a supermarket, you can pick up chicken legs, and they're incredibly good, aren't they? We've used them in a lot of different recipes. So now what I'm about to do is fry off the chicken. So you brown the chicken legs, or if you are jointing a chicken, you obviously brown those bits off, and then you fry those off, get a nice colour on those, and then what you do is you basically put all the other ingredients. You take the chicken out, let that sit for a bit, but you put all the other ingredients back in the pan. So you've got your bacon lardons, and you can just use chopped bacon, or you could even use pancetta. It's basically just got that lovely sort of slightly fatty, porky flavour, which is what you need. Gives you a bit of depth. And then we've actually got shallots, but I think you've done it with, did you do it with red onions?
I've done it with onions if I haven't got shallots. Yes, you can do it with regular onion, but just keep it quite chunky. Quarter the onion.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on the size of your onion. And of course you can do it with red onion. But just good old onions, just quarter them. And use them that way.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, this is what I mean. The dish, like we've said about a lot of dishes that we cook, we may have seen a recipe or eaten it somewhere that we really like it, don't we?
Yeah.
And then we think, okay, well, these are the ingredients. Like you just said, we were thinking, like, what ingredients have we got in our fridges and freezers, and what can we use for today? Because it was sort of quite a last minute thing.
And at the moment, I'm on veg duty, so you'll hear me peeling and coring in the background. But that's Charlie. But so I'm on veg duty, and it's still great. This year, I think in an earlier podcast we really laughed about my marrows. I'm down to the last marrow. It's huge, but it's amazing. And I'm down. So we're going to have some stir-fried marrow with it, with some chives. I've still got chives in the garden.
Right, I'm
so I'm going to do some sizzling.
Sizzle, hopefully.
Oh yeah, there is some sizzling. And I've also been growing this year some curly kale and some Carvello Nero. And that's just coming into its own. I mean, I don't know about anybody else out there, but I grew it. And of course the butterflies, or I should say the caterpillars, love it. So I attempted to net it. So we have been having it. But now it's growing in abundance. So it's fantastic. So, you know, to have another green and an iron vegetable like that this time of year when you're doing things with maybe a rich sauce or a casserole or something is great, isn't it, Charlie?
Yeah. So you can probably now hear that chicken is just fried. So I've got a tiny bit, about a tablespoon of olive oil and a sort of 25-gram knob of butter in there. The butter just gives it a bit more unctuousness in terms of the flavour. And I'm basically frying off 2 of the legs now. So you're just browning them, you're not cooking them, you're browning them. So I've just got them skin side down, and they'll take about 3 to 4 minutes each side, just get a nice sort of bronze colour on them. And then I'll do the other 2 legs, and then you take all those out, and as I said, then you get your bacon, your shallots, and I forgot to mention also some mushrooms. Now, you can use whatever mushrooms you like. So you could use filled mushrooms, you can use chestnut mushrooms, you could use just your regular white mushrooms. It's just that mushrooms give a lovely earthy depth to this dish.
But you probably wouldn't use any of the exotic mushrooms necessarily in this.
Well, no.
Though, I mean, I don't know, in France you could use a morel mushroom, I guess.
Champignon. Yeah, so this will just fry, like I said, for a few minutes. So there will be a bit of clattering around to turn these over. But you're just peeling your potatoes there. So we're having, what potatoes are we having?
Oh, so I think we've decided we are going to do roast potatoes as a Sunday. And Charlie does like roast potato. And also we've got Charlie's great friend Ed coming to eat with us as well. So I think he's been on his pottery. So this is Edward King Ceramics, and he's been doing a pottery weekend or exhibition up at Farnham. So I think he's going to be very tired and very hungry and in need of a bit of warm food, comfort food, and a few glasses of wine. So we are sort of making him something nice. Yeah.
Feed him up. So the other thing to talk about, obviously, with the Riesling is the wine. So we actually have, we were running, it was quite funny. We were driving back from Arundel, which is about 15-minute drive from us on a good day. Yeah. Basically what happened was we decided on this, and so we dashed into Mice, grabbed the pan that we're using, grabbed the chicken, and then we ran in. But we actually ran into Aldi to get some bits and bobs. And we've actually got a Riesling wine from Aldi. So we are actually using the traditional wine. What I would say though is, as long as it's a relatively dry, slightly fruity, would you say, white wine?
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be. I mean, obviously, again, if you're being a purist and you want Cocoa Riesling, then please use Riesling. What I'm saying is, I've been in parts of France even where I couldn't get Riesling, and I've done this recipe and I've just used a white wine that I could get hold of.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. So it's nice to obviously use the traditional wine, but don't beat yourself up if you can't get hold of that. I'm now just putting in the second batch of chicken legs. I've got 4 chicken legs here, which altogether is just about a kilo. And what I've done is I've just seasoned them with salt and cracked black pepper, just to give them some extra flavour. The other thing to talk about is obviously the herbs. So we've got some lovely fresh bay leaves that are going to go in. We've also got some fresh thyme, and obviously salt and pepper. So those are kind of your main herbs. And then obviously along with the white wine, which you use about 500 mils of the white wine, so 2/3 of a bottle of wine. The rest of the liquid is just chicken stock. Now, you've been really good. You've been making broths and stocks and all sorts of good stuff so far.
Yeah, I mean, I try to. I hope everyone can hear us over the sizzling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, occasionally, if I've done a roast chicken, and even with chicken legs, actually, any bits of the chicken, just make a stock, with a bit of carrot and onion and a few herbs and salt and pepper. It's great. But Charlie, I have to say, there's always, when you cook things in a bit of butter and oil, the smell in here, I have to say, is divine.
The other thing I've totally forgotten, actually probably vitally important. is
spicy.
some garlic. Would you mind if you're on
Sorry.
the veggie duty? You're now peeling some garlic. So yeah, a couple of cloves of sort of, or 2 or 3 fat cloves of garlic go in as well. So I think those are kind of the main ingredients of the coco riso. I think we've gone through most of that method. So what, in terms of your garden now, is that over your...
As I explained, I've still got my curly kale, and a neighbour of mine, there's the garlic. A neighbour of mine said her aim when she grows kale or carvello nero is to be picking it for Christmas Day. So that's my aim. And bearing in mind, it is absolutely looking great at the moment. So it's rather liking this relatively sort of damp. But now that this colder weather, I think it's like a lot of vegetables, you know, sprouts and swedes and a lot of those roots. They really do love it when it's cold. And you can get a frost, you know.
It's lovely. Now, I'm just going to say, I've taken the chicken out. So now what I need to do is obviously just quickly get all my vegetables together. The other thing I was going to talk about is have we been reading any exciting books or anything recently? Have you been doing anything like that?
I don't know about new books, but I would say to you that, you know, this time of year, there's certain books I think I return to. Mm-hmm. And I did pick up Delia's Complete Cookery Course. I mean, it is a well-thumbed book.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of recipes. And actually, the other week I did a coco vin. And, you know, Delia's recipes stand the test of time. They really, really do. So, not a new book necessarily. No. But, yeah, what about you?
Well, funny enough, I made my Christmas cake last weekend. But obviously, as you know, I had a bit of a drama with my oven. Okay. So, any foodie's nightmare is I went to actually start to cook my Christmas cake, and luckily, Relish Lifestyle top tip, check your oven's working before you start doing your actual Christmas cake mix, because I put it on, and unfortunately, I had no heat, no temperature was coming through the said oven. So I had a bit of a delay in terms of getting my Christmas cake made, but it is now finally made. It is a recipe I've done before in previous years. It is loosely based on Delia's Christmas cake in terms of some of the ingredients, but I actually add quite a lot of apricot and things like that just to kind of lighten the actual cake itself.
Yeah.
In terms of books, I am trying to sort of have a bit of I've gone through my Victoria Hislop phase. I can't stop it at the moment. So I'm reading now her first book, which was The Island, a novel, which is Greece. Since I've got back from our Greek Odyssey, I found it sort of quite tricky to sort of shake off these sort of winter blues. But we have been looking as well, haven't we, at like maps and things that we might sort of do another one. We were looking at, do you remember I got the map out the other day and we were looking at the other side of Greece? Do you remember when we were looking at where it borders and things like that?
Yes, exactly. Because there's so much of Greece, that's what we realised.
Yeah.
That you could easily do, numerous trips, to be honest.
Yeah, so we're looking at that. And then we've also been sort of talking about what we might have on Christmas Day, haven't we? We've been thinking...
Well, yes, we're creeping up to that time of year when you do need to think about it. So obviously Charlie says he's just done his Christmas cake, which you've done. And then what we're going to do for Christmas. I mean, I think we touched about on this on a podcast, John. Because it'd be great actually if people could just let us know what you do. Do you have the traditional turkey?
Yeah.
I mean, for many, many years we haven't. No. We might eat it leading up to Christmas because we found that, you know, even when Charlie was at school or at uni or work, quite often you had work things, and so it was quite often around a turkey. So by the time we got to Christmas Day, we were like...
Sort of turkeyed out.
Well, yeah, exactly. So we've had various things over the years, but I think this year we are possibly thinking about doing is it veal or venison?
Well, we've talked about...
A Saltenbocker, anyway, isn't it?
It's the porchetta.
Porchetta, sorry. Not Saltenbocker.
So basically, I've never made a porchetta, which is a rolled piece of pork with Parma ham and sage and garlic and things like that inside it. Then I actually saw a recipe in a magazine, and it was a barbecued porchetta. And so my thoughts are that we could potentially do a barbecue on Christmas Day, It's quite fun.
Yeah, we've done that.
And we've done that before. And then we could do it with veal. Now, obviously, there is sort of slight controversy around veal, but it is an absolutely delicious meat. And obviously, it's much more obtainable in Europe than it is here, unfortunately. But in terms of flavour, it's a really good. It's also very lean as well, but it's full of flavour. You've got that lovely beefy flavour. So it's a really good option. And also, the other thing, obviously, for us is obviously it's not just, we don't have a huge family to feed in terms of the amount. So for us, the three of us, it's the perfect sort of thing to do. And obviously, last weekend, just before my oven decided to not have any heat, I came up with the idea of doing a frangipan. So I really do like frangipan. And I made some Seville marmalade this time. Actually, it might have been a bit later, but I did it sort of in the winter last year. And I sort of found, again, a bit of a riff on a recipe where you sort of have the marmalade, you do a pastry base, and then you have your marmalade. And then we topped it with the frangipan. And we actually did a video of that on Instagram last week of me piping and things like that.
It's really delicious. Really delicious. I mean, homemade marmalade, especially Seville marmalade, it's just got that wonderful, wonderful tanginess,
well,
richness.
It's not too sweet.
No, not too sweet.
And actually, my dad particularly liked it, so we're now thinking that might be the pudding for Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So it's funny how, like you were saying, we cook on a Sunday. It's a bit like we have a mini Christmas sort of most weekends, and actually some of what we do, we then get an idea for what we might do for the actual big day.
Can I just change the subject slightly?
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know how many people do this, and I really pride myself on not wasting food. Trying to go into the fridge, use up, look at the sell-by dates, or even if you're not sell-by dates particularly, but use by dates. Sorry.
Yeah.
Since anyway, I've just gone to my fridge.
Oh yeah.
And found I got a small cucumber, and it's past It's more than past its use by date. So I'm feeling a bit miffed, actually, that I didn't spot it quick enough. Anyway, that's very bad of me, but I just thought I'd share that as we're here in the kitchen and I'm sort of...
The thing is,
it's real time. I'm like...
If it hadn't gone totally, you probably could have got away with a bit of... you could have cured it up or made a smoothie.
Oh, yeah, they're good for juicing and stuff.
So,
but
that's
no,
a shame.
Unfortunately...
Never mind.
I'm very cross with myself now, so I'm sure I'm not the only person who does that anyway.
Well, never mind.
Yeah.
So we've had lots of questions coming in. One of them being in terms of like wines. What sort of wines would you like? I think we touched on it before the previous one. But we talked about like summer wines. We sort of said pink pools, things like that. But as we go into the winter, are there any wines that you're sort of looking out for? I think you mentioned one in Aldi. You said would they have a... Was it the Pinot Noir?
Well, just in the last, I don't know, year or so, the American sort of Californian wines are coming to the fore a bit, and so I've found a couple of those which are rather nice, very different to the French Pinot Noirs particularly, and you can get them starting to get them. I mean, obviously you can get them in top vintners and things like that, but and wine merchants, but they are beginning to sort of come through into sort of what I call convenience, as in your local supermarkets and things. But I think. What about you? Anything particular?
Well, I like a good Rioja, so quite like a Rioja Reserva or something like that. I think in terms of other wines, especially if we go into sort of like, I don't know. I feel like when you get into the winter, you still want like a glass of white wine, but you need something with a bit more heft, maybe than some of the lighter wines. But we've actually been going back to a bit of a Pinot Grigio phase. There's been some quite different Pinot Grigios out there, hasn't there? We've tried a few of those.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the other wine that's sort of coming through, which I think up until relatively recently, I haven't really sort of had on my radar, but like white Côte d'Rose and things like that. And like white Riojas, which have just got a bit more heft than a lighter summer white wine, I think.
No, and you can never overlook a good Chardonnay, and I mean a good Chardonnay.
Yeah.
If you get, you can get the delicious ones.
I just had a very bad experience on Chardonnay at university. So put me
that
off.
wouldn't have been on a good shot.
No, I don't think it was.
No.
Never mind. Anyway, so quickly...
recap on what's going on here, because I have to say, it is looking... it is. The smells are unbelievable.
So actually, come up a precious moment. I'm just going to put the chicken... So basically, in my pan, I've got the mushrooms, which I've halved. They're chestnut mushrooms we've actually got. Again, just using what we had. The shallots, the banana shallots have been halved. I've got some bacon lardons in there, about 250 grams of bacon lardons. A couple of bay leaves, some fresh thyme, salt and pepper. The garlic went in there. And the garlic you can just roughly chop. It doesn't have to be crushed. I would actually say it's better not crushed, because it's got quite a long, slow cooking time. There's salt and pepper in there. I will season again before it goes into the oven. So I'm now just trying to do... You have to do a bit of a jigsaw, because your chicken sort of has to sit... it looks like actually that's sort of fitted.
Perfect, Charlie.
And then I just pour the juices that have come out of the chicken back on top of the chicken. Yeah. And then this is the moment. This is the moment where you add your liquid. So I'm actually going to do the wine first, because I just want to see how much we've got here. Sorry, more beating. So you get... It's probably, like I said, 500 mils of a bottle. So that goes in.
Did you want some... You put the thyme in?
Yeah, time's gone in.
Okay.
Yeah. You've had time and all that. So I would say that... I'm not using exact measurements, so I'm literally looking at the bottle. And then basically you want the liquid to come just up to sort of, I would say, the top of the skins of the leg. So that...
Or your joints, you know?
Joint. I would say actually that's perfect.
I'm just thinking, Charlie, you could cook a whole chicken this way, couldn't you? Just cook it for longer. Because I was thinking of some recipes recently I was looking at. And
definitely.
There's a lot of recipes out there now, you know, when you're putting different spices and herbs and rubs and things on a chicken. And you basically are roasting it like that. So I'm just thinking, and even if you weren't roasting it, but some are sitting in a... I saw one that was like this, but it was actually oriental. Oh yeah, nice.
So like miso
and like lemongrass and things.
Lemongrass, like a tiny bit of sesame oil. Obviously, don't overdo sesame oil, because that's a bit like...
Oh, and sometimes I think sesame oil needs to be drizzled a little bit on at the end.
But it just gives you that lovely, beautiful flavour. But you really need a tiny bit. It's a bit like rosemary. It can then become a bit... If you overdo rosemary, it can be a bit very liquidy.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to add a tiny...
I've got more lemon if you want.
I'm just going to add a tiny squeeze of some lemon.
Do you want a bit more?
No, that I just want a tiny bit, actually, I think.
We could always add another bit.
But that's fine for now. And then we can taste it later anyway. So yes, I'm just squeezing a tiny... It's my
secret ingredient, which I talked about, didn't I?
So add a tiny bit of citrus. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm just bringing that up to a simmer. So I've turned the heat up a bit. I'm just making sure those legs are just sitting in all those lovely juices, which they are. And then that is going to have a lid clamped on it. And that's going to go in an oven at about 180-ish, 170, 180. Now, there's two... You can do both methods. So you can now just cook this on the stove, on the top, for about an hour, low and slow. Or it can go in the oven. So the oven has to be slightly higher because you've got the lid and all that kind of stuff going on. But it's a perfect recipe for when you don't know what time certain people are turning up and all that kind of stuff. It's sort of almost impossible to overcook it. Obviously, I'm not suggesting you cook it suddenly for 4 hours. It's definitely sort of an hour to an hour and a half max. But it's a good recipe. In the time that we've been speaking to you, I've built it and it's just about to go into the oven. You can probably hear that.
I've now done all my peeling, so I'm just now chopping my potatoes.
Mrs.
Peel. God. I'm just now chopping my potatoes.
Oven is now.
Oven is now. It's going in the oven. That's great. Timer going on. Yes. So I will just then cook my potatoes off, bring them to the boil, good old, roast until they're just going soft a little bit on the outside, and drain them, and then just leave them. Don't try to overcook them, but just leave them. And then quite often they continue to sort of steam and cook and go fluffy when you're ready, which is going to be a while because, Charlie, we will wait until the Cocoa Riesling is nearly done, and then we can start the potatoes, but we then need to take that out because we need to put the heat up. But everything else is just ready, and of course that's just veg.
Dude, we had an idea, because obviously it's coming up to Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
We're thinking we might do a bit of a, what would you call it? It's kind of like that witch magazine, but like a top tasting of mince pies. So we thought this might be quite... Well, no, it's actually one of the...
I'm not sure about this idea, Charlie. It's not going to be good for our waistline.
No, waistline.
Can we just try a tiny bit of mince pie?
One mince pie. So actually, it's one thing that was suggested. It wasn't a question, but someone said, you know, what are your sort of favourite food products and things like that. So actually, for us, it's quite difficult because we do quite a lot of scratch cooking. But obviously, this time of year, there are certain products out there that we would buy in. And we were, as I said, we were in Aldi earlier, and we thought we'd try. They've got some frangipan again. There's a theme occurring frangipan at the moment, but frangipan mince pie. So we thought we'd give those a try. And then we got the idea that we might sort of try others and sort of taste test them, didn't we? So we sort of the Relish Lifestyle approved Christmas products.
Yes, I'm quite keen actually to get some, you know, kind of bakery, deli or specialist bakery and try some of those mince pies as well.
Yeah.
Well, for two reasons. One is because hopefully we can buy one this time and taste it.
Yeah.
But also just to see how they do compare with what some of the bigger chains are doing. But anyway, we just thought it might be a bit of a laugh. And then we can share that. But again, anyone who's got favourites, let us know. And maybe you've got a homemade mince pie recipe.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
I mean, I have to say over the years in the past, I've made my own mince meat and I've then made my own mince pies. Because we don't eat them, in all fairness, like we used to. I know what I was going to say, though, Charlie. I noticed in the Waitrose food magazine, they did... I thought it was quite funny, actually. They had a sort of double-page spread at the back, and it was all the things you can do with leftover mince pies.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So there was like leftover mince pie, ice cream. You can crumble up the top of things. So you can make crumble. Oh, so nice. You crumble up your mince pies, like part of the crumble topping with fruit. Oh my goodness! I think they even had a mince pie cocktail where you take out the
mince meat.
The mince meat, and I think somehow you get the flavours of it. To be honest, I think that was
not sure about.
Yeah, I think that was one too far actually, because I was like, well, you would just use the lovely spices. Anyway, it was just a bit funny. You know.
No, it's very...
Okay, Charlie's just checking something. Okay, we're all
right.
right.
Just getting the olive oil there.
Oh, yeah.
So basically that is us literally live cooking. We thought that would be quite a good one for you to...
So what time do we think Ed's going to turn up?
I don't know yet. I've got my phone here.
Oh, how long is the Riesling in the oven?
So basically it's sort of an hour-ish.
Yeah.
But as I said, it's sort of impossible to dry out because of the nature of it being cooked in the pans. So you could probably leave it in there for an hour and a half to keep the oven a bit lower.
But you were saying to me earlier that you try and finish it off with the lid off, don't you? In a hot oven,
you just get that slightly bronze bit on top. And obviously what you don't want, you want your liquor to thicken as much as you can. So that's another point I should make. So when it comes out the oven and it is sort of done, it's quite nice to add a bit of creme fraiche. Now, again, purists might add cream. There's even recipes that add an egg yolk in as well. I find that is a bit tricky, and obviously creme fraiche doesn't split, so you do have all those extra. It's just helpful, and it's not quite as rich, but you still get that slightly creaminess to the sauce.
I have to say, I know creme fraiche is cream, but there is that lovely lemony tang, I think, that you get with creme fraiche.
Which is nice with the chicken.
And I think it would be really nice with the chicken. I agree.
So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to put a tiny bit of creme fraiche.
So you wouldn't then, because I was thinking a lot of dishes like that, you would take the chicken out and then you would put the pan with the sauce on and bring it to a boil and maybe even stirring to reduce it. That's what I was going to say.
So you can do that. Obviously, it depends on how much time you've got, how complicated you want to do it. Like I said, traditional recipes, they probably would take... Well, I know they take all of the stuff out. And the only thing for me is you take all of that out, you strain it all, including the vegetables, and then you sort of have to leave it to sit and then reduce it and all that kind of stuff. So I just find that can be a bit unwieldy.
No, I think that's probably quite a classic way.
So I think if you let the lid off, you reduce that liquid a bit quicker. And also then you can add the creme fraiche, which then gives you that thickening thing. Obviously, if you want then the sauce to be much thicker, you could do a little cheat bit, which is, slacken off a bit of corn flour with some water and add that, and then obviously that would thicken up your sauce a bit more.
Yeah.
Again, we've done this recipe. Obviously, we're having roast potatoes because we fancied roast potatoes and something crispy. But you could have either made sort of French stick bread, haven't I, before?
Oh, yeah. Baguettes.
So there's multiple things. I mean, we talked about having mashed potatoes. So I think it's just a textural thing today.
Right, so I'm going to ask you then, what other dishes have you made this week?
Well, that's a good question.
Charlie's brain's now trying to remember.
No, I didn't have an oven until Thursday.
Oh, no, you didn't. So how did you survive without the oven?
Luckily, obviously, my stovetop is gas, so I could still cook with gas.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously, on Thursday, once I had my oven working, I actually did an oven chicken shawarma.
Oh, nice.
And I literally used the oven for everything. So I baked that in the oven, and then I made some flatbreads and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I did things like that. Then obviously I did some other bits and bobs. But what about you? What else have you been cooking?
Yes. Well, I actually I made some veal burgers, and I had seen a recipe, or you can actually buy them, and you just get just very simple veal. Minced veal, and it's just salt and pepper. I always, again, the secret ingredient, a bit of lime zest, but you keep it quite simple, so you're not adding, because veal is quite a delicate meat. And what I do is I literally make like a burger or a patty. You could make it into meatballs, to be honest. You can make it smaller. And I then make a topping with, these are my homemade breadcrumbs, just from homemade bread, and grated Parmesan.
Yummy.
And do you know what? It's really nice. And you can put a bit of parsley. I did chop a bit of parsley up into the meat.
Very nice.
And then you make those, and then you just do it, and then you literally fry them off, and then just pop them in the oven. I mean, I didn't make it. You call them burgers, but I don't eat a big burger with meat.
What I was thinking with that is though you call them burgers because of the shape. You could do koftas, or you could do meatballs.
You could try, I said meatballs,
like So, but anyway.
I was going to say, no, sorry. I think, another one, if you did the veal meatballs, I think you could make a very nice lemon sauce to go with them.
Okay.
I was just thinking of
Nice.
It was just quite well. I was thinking about ossobuco, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you do that.
Yeah.
And that's quite lemon. You can make quite a rich lemon sort of sauce with that.
Nice. Yeah. That sounds delicious. Well, that brings us to the end of our live podcast, as in we're moving around the kitchen. So hopefully you get to hear it all. Obviously, we are at Relish Lifestyle on TikTok and Instagram. We will be posting photos of what we're cooking today, hopefully, so you'll see the Coco Riesling. And if you've got any questions, please DM us with
and your favourite recipes. We'd just love to share those and even try them.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think we're going to start to share some more recipes. We've got to get to grips with our website, but we will be improving that and posting some stuff up.
So that's all from us on this Sunday evening. Keep relishing life.